Good day, everyone. I'm here to present the two topics under environmental and sustainability. Here is my presentation outline. As you can see, the two topics that I'll be discussing today are about first, 2.4 Principles of Sustainability based on economics, political science, and ethics, and also 2.5 Environmental Impact Model using IPAT or Impact equals population times affluence times technology. Now, let's get started. To deeply understand the first topic, let's first define what does it mean when we talk about principles of sustainability. Here in my presentation, as you can see, I have the definition, which is the process and the action through which humankind avoid the depletion of natural resources in order to keep an ecological balance that doesn't allow the quality of life of modern society to decrease. So, principles of sustainability means meeting today's needs without compromising the ability of future generations. Originally, there are six principles for sustainability, which are the following: first, circular economy; second, energy savings; third, sustainable material choice; fourth, environmental product declaration; fifth, constant research and innovation; and lastly, corporate social responsibility. Going back to my topic, which is 2.4 Principles of Sustainability based on economics, political science, and ethics. Here, I have the three main principles that base on economics, political science, and ethics, which are the following: first, economic; second, environmental; and lastly, social. These three principles are informally referred to as people, planet, and profits. This principles stands for everything that we need for our survival and well-being, either directly or indirectly on our natural environment. To deeply understand these principles, let's first discuss the environmental principle, which defined often gets the most attention because many of the companies are focused on reducing damage to the environment because besides of helping the planet, these practices can also have positive financial impact. For example, reducing the use of packaging materials means lowering the spending and improve the fuel efficiency. Moving on to the next principle, which is social, that ties back into another poorly defined concept, which is social license. A sustainable business should have the support and approval of its employees, stakeholders, and the community it operates in. Because this approaches is the way of securing and maintaining the support, but it comes down to the treating of employees fairly and being a good neighbor and a community member, both locally and globally. Last but not the least, the economic principle, which define where the most business feel they are on firm ground. To be sustainable, a business must be profitable. But they say profit cannot trump the other principle. In fact, the profit at any cost is not at all what the economic principle is about. Moving on to the next topic, which is 2.5 Environmental Impact Model using IPAT or Impact equals population times affluence times technology. Let's first define what is environmental impact. Here in my presentation, I have the definition, which is the effect of human activity on the biophysical environment, most often of which are harmful effects that cause environmental degradation. So, environmental impact is defined as any change to the environment, whether adverse or beneficial, resulting from facilities activities, production, or service. In other words, it is the effect that people's action have on environment. Here I have gathered three main or common example of environmental impact. So first, overpopulation, which define the state whereby the human population rises to an extent exceeding the carrying capacity of ecological setting. In an overpopulated environment, the numbers of people might be more than the available essential materials for survival, such as transport, water, shelter, food, or social amenities. The next one is pollution, which defines the introduction of harmful materials to the environment. These harmful materials are called pollutants. Pollutants can be natural, such as volcanic ash, but they also can be created by human activity, such as trash, or produced by factories. Pollutants damage the quality of air, water, and land. Lastly, we have deforestation, which define the purposeful clearing of the forest land, in which forests have been raised to make space and to gain materials. It is where the forest or the stand of trees from land is then converted to non-forest use. Deforestation can involve conservation of the forest and to farms, ranches, or urban use. This example is what triggers the changes like climate change, soil erosion, poor air quality, and undrinkable water. Now let's define what is model IPAT. So it was first proposed by Barry Commoner, Paul R. Enrich, and John Holdren in the early 1970s as a way to calculate the impact of humans on the environment. They say that the equation can aid the understanding of some of the factors affecting human impacts on the environment, but it has also been cited as the basis for many of the dire environmental predictions of the 1970s that did not come to pass. To deeply understand, let's talk about IPAT, which is the acronym of equation of model that links sustainability outputs to three factors. As you can see in the image below, here is the example of the equation. That is a mathematical notation that put forward to describe the impact of human activity on the environment. So this equation is used to express that the idea of environmental impact is the product of three factors: population, affluence, and technology. It shows the mathematical relationship between environmental impacts and the forces driving them. Now let's talk about the dependent variable of the equation, which is the I, that represents the environmental impact. And the maximum endurable impact is called carrying capacity. So the carrying capacity of an environment is the size of maximum population size of a biological species that can be sustained by that specific environment, given the food, habitat, water, and other resources available. As long as the I is less than the carrying capacity of the associated population of fuels and technology, that makes up the I can be perpetually endured. But if I exceeds the carrying capacity, then the system is said to be in an overshoot, which may only be temporary state because overshoot may degrade the ability. Moving on to the three factors, which is population, affluence, and technology. So let's first discuss the population, which defines the variable p that represents in the equation. So it also represents the population that of an area such as the world. Since the rise of industrial society, human population has been increasing spontaneously. One is affluence, which defines the variable A that represents the average consumption of each person in the population. So, as consumption of each person increases, the total environmental impact increases as well. Lastly, the technology, which represents the T in the equation, and also how the resources intensive of the production of the effluents is how much environmental impact is involved in creating, transporting, and disposing of the goods, service, and amenities used. So technology as a factor is shows the environment inefficiency can reduce resources intensively, reducing the T multiplier. That's the end of my presentation. This is Jonahlie F. Albaña, third year B Communication student. Thank you for listening and God bless us all.